few requests from people who are doing a lot of sitting lately and feeling it in their low back and starting to feel the impact of lots of chair time and not enough movement around. So I'm going to start with a brief meditation using this breath ball. It's a Hoberman sphere. I invite you to sit either on the floor or on a chair with your feet planted firmly if you're in the chair, and sitting up nice and tall and long in either position. And we're going to take deep, full breaths in. When we practice breathing in yoga, it's belly, ribs, chest on the inhalation, and then as you exhale, you're drawing the belly button toward the spine, emptying. So let's inhale fully and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And if you like, you can continue watching the movement of the ball and syncing it with your breath, or you can close your eyes and go inward. And begin to allow yourself to relax the neck and shoulders. Perhaps imagine there are weights at the ends of your elbows that are drawing your shoulder blades down the back. If you like, open your mouth wide and stretch through the jaw. Feel the muscles of your throat, perhaps tipping your head back a little bit and stretching along the front side of your neck. And then notice any tension in the belly and the ribs. Can you begin to invite some space between the ribs? Enable the chest to lift, the belly to expand. Feel those deep, full diaphragmatic breaths. Taking 2 more breaths like this, full and then empty, full and empty. Just take a moment to notice if you've begun to shift your state of being. Soften through the neck and shoulders. Perhaps relax into your back. And then open your eyes if they're not already. Just want to demonstrate what I mean by cactus arms. So we're going to be doing some things on our belly, and this is what I mean by cactus arms. And this would be T arms. So decide just to be aware and have a visual of those, cactus arms and T arms. All right, a few people have asked me about low back pain and kind of getting to stretch the space in the sacral area and the lumbar spine. So one great exercise for this is to sit backwards on your chair and let your sits bones, so the pointy bones that are poking into the floor when you're sitting cross-legged, let the sits bones fall off the edge of the chair. So hold on to the back of it and let your sits bones hang off the edge. And you can stay like this. You can deepen it by folding into the chair. If you have a shorter back chair, you could rest your head on the back of that chair if your torso is long enough. You could also put a pillow right here in the space between you and the chair back. And that would be a place to rest your head. So holding here, and I would say at least 30 seconds of holding, longer if you like. You could go up to several minutes as long as there's no pain. So sensation in the form of stretch, but not sensation in the form of any pain or shooting pain. And this is a great way to stretch through the fascial tissue in the lumbar spine into the sacral part of your spine. So you'll feel perhaps around the tailbone area, there's a lot of tissue there that tightens and is connected to the lower body and the upper body. So hopefully this feels really great for you, and you can stay there, as I said, for 30 seconds or 3 minutes, whatever feels good to you. But I recommend doing something like this throughout the day, especially if you're seated at your computer most of the day. And then slowly lifting back up, and stepping off your chair when you're ready, and I'll move this aside. And we're going to come into hands and knees, table position in yoga. And in table posture, we'll move through cat and cow. So you're stretching the spine up towards the ceiling, creating space between your shoulder blades. And then you're dropping your belly, coming into extension of the spine as you draw your shoulder blades down the back. This is often very challenging for a lot of people. A lot of folks don't have mobility in their middle part of their back. So focus on drawing the shoulder blades down the back. There's a set of muscles there called the levators. So think about elevator, drawing the shoulder blades up into that rounded position a little bit. And then as you take the elevator back down, draw the shoulder blades down. Rounding the spine as you go into this cat stretch. And then dropping the belly and opening the heart. And one more time, cat and cow. All right, and then coming to a neutral spine, walking your hands towards the right, you're going to look over towards your right shoulder into a lateral stretch. And then coming back to center, hands to the left, looking over your left shoulder towards the left hip. Feeling that stretch in the side body. And now come back to center. So some of our back problems come from not enough strength in the abdominals. And the front side of the body, we're overusing the muscles of the back. So working today on some of the lower body, the glutes, and then also working on the transversus, the lowest part of the, part of the abdominals. So take your right leg long behind you, your toes pointing towards the floor, squeezing your glutes and balancing here. If this bothers your knees, you put a little cushion under your knees, a blanket. So option one, you can stay right here and really squeeze and engage those glutes and your hamstrings on the right leg. Option two, we're drawing the knee and the head in towards center, and then we're pushing back away, drawing in, and pressing back, drawing in, and pressing back. Third option is to take your opposite arm, your left arm out in front, and pull the elbow and the knee together, and then extend. Working on stability, really important to go slow and steady. Doing this speedily is less effective. And then holding long, if this feels okay. You can always bring that hand back to the mat. Now we're going to take the right leg and swing it to the left a little bit, tucking your toes into the floor and pushing back through your heel, finding a stretch in your calf. And gently release, come back to your table. Again, cat and cow, rounding. And then dropping the belly and opening the heart. Moving from flexion to extension. Flexion of the spine, cat pose. Extension of the spine, cow posture. All right, let's take that onto the other side. So taking your left leg long. And notice if your glutes and your hamstrings are firing as you hold this posture. You can stay there, or you can take the opposite arm out in front. You can also work to bring elbow and knee together, or just your knee. So lots of variations here. Remember, slower is more effective. Helps you to focus, to stabilize. You might notice that one side is less stable than the other. And then hold and extend. Bringing your hand down, take your left leg across to the right, tuck your toes into the floor and push through the heel to stretch out the calf. And gently release. Press your hips back, coming into a child posture. This pose, you can have your knees as wide as you need to create space for the belly and the chest. Fingertips can be forward and resting your head on the floor, or hands can come back by your feet resting here. This is another great stretch for the back, especially getting into that tailbone space, the fascia around the tailbone, the lumbar spine, the sacral spine. All right, we're going to come down onto our bellies now. And I want you to bring those cactus arms in. So again, 90 degrees from forearm to bicep. Chin, mouth, or forehead is on the floor. Wiggle your hips. If there's any discomfort in your low back when you're in this position, you can put a thin blanket below your hips, but you don't want too much thickness there. Now, for starters, I want you to anchor your pelvis into the floor. So think about pressing your pubic bone towards the mat and lifting your head and chest. Coming up with those wide arms, pressing into the floor, and then lower back down. So again, we're just inviting some extension of the spine like we did in cow posture. Working to depress the shoulder blades. So levators moving down. And then hold that position, pull the elbows back without the palms allowing them to slide. So you're kind of creating a little gecko grip in your palms and pulling through your elbows, feeling that engagement in middle back. These are a weak set of muscles on many of us. And strengthening this can relieve the upper trapezius muscles, which we tend to overuse. And then slowly lower down, turn your head and wiggle your hips, or lift your heels and let your feet windshield wiper side to side. And then coming back to stillness, again, lengthening through the legs, through the knees, the hips. Keeping that cactus position in your arms. Lift your head and chest, and this time lift your arms and see how that feels. Imagine that you're pulling back a hair through your elbows. Just a hair of movement through the elbows as you engage those middle and lower trapezius muscles in your back. Breathe, full deep breaths in and out. As you exhale, lower down, turn your head, wiggle your hips. And then once again, we'll come up into that same upper body position, but this time we're going to add one leg at a time. So lifting the right leg, pointing the toe, squeezing and engaging your glute muscles as well as your hamstring muscles. So feel the work on the back of the leg, the lengthening on the front side of the leg. Your muscles working in opposition. And then lower yourself down and turn your head. Wiggle your hips. We'll do the other leg. Turning your chin towards the floor, lifting your head and chest, and then lifting that left leg off the mat. Checking in to see if your glutes and hamstrings are firing. Deep, full breaths in and out. Feel the work at your back. No discomfort in your low back. If you're feeling discomfort in your low back, you're going to want to lower your chest a little bit or put a thin blanket beneath your hips. Slowly lower down. Bring your hands by your sides. Push yourself to child pose. And take the time to sit and breathe in that posture for just a moment, really inviting some stretch into the low back. We're going to come into what's called side boat Ardha Navasana. So you're rolled to your right side with your right arm extended long. Resting your head on your arm. Look down and see if your legs are forward towards your front corner of your mat or back towards the back side of your mat. See if you can bring them in line. And if you can't, that's okay, just noticing what's tight on your body. I'm going to use my left hand as a kickstand here and then bring both my legs up off the floor. And our tendency here will probably be to hinge at the hips and bring the feet forward if the hips are tight. So bringing yourself into alignment if you can, feet extending out directly from the tops of the legs. So we call this Ardha Navasana or side boat. And then lowering back down. This is a nice posture to work on core strength. Noticing if you're using your transversus, this low line of abdominal muscles, and then engaging back and belly equally so that you're not in too much extension, which means your chest is coming forward, or too much flexion where your spine is moving behind you. So bringing everything into alignment, lifting those legs once again, engaging the low abdominals, the transversus. And then for those of you looking for a little more, you could lift your head. You could run both arms parallel. The goal here being to find stability and balance, maintain core strength, and then lower yourself down. And now bring your knees to the edge of your mat so that they're stacked on top of each other and your ankles stay together. I'm going to prop my head up with my right hand. I'm going to lift the top knee and lower it. And the idea here is to keep a wall so that the hip doesn't roll past this wall. So I'm going to pretend that my left arm is acting like a wall, and I'm not opening. So I don't want to open like this, which moves my whole torso. I'm working the muscles right here, your hip rotators. Included in your hip rotators are your glutes, but also the piriformis, which many of you know about. So this might be a very challenging posture to do. See if you can do 10 to 12 of those and then rest. And we'll come over to the other side, coming to that side boat position. Coming up and over, laying on your left side. And again, kickstand in front, resting my head. Both legs come up off the floor, working to try and extend so that my hip flexors are lengthened. Holding here, breathing. And then lowering down and bringing my knees towards the side of the mat, the edge of the mat. I'm going to open and close in that clam position once again. So I'm not looking for the big movement that rolls my whole body over. I'm trying to keep a sort of pretend wall here and opening to that space. And this is a lot of work right here in those hip rotators. And I'm working to do 10 to 12 of those on this side if you can. And then relax, and we'll roll to the back. Coming onto your back, draw your knees into your chest and rock here a little bit. And you're going to hold onto your right shin and extend your left leg long, heel to the floor, and then flex your feet, dorsiflexion of your feet, so your toes point towards the ceiling. I'm going to pull against my right shin and press away through my left foot. And you'll feel a stretch here at the lengthening through your hip extender, your hip flexors, and you'll feel the pull across the low abs to the other hip. So starting there, option 2, we're going to pull ourselves up off the floor, left leg coming off the mat, head and chest coming up, but I'm not scrunching into this, I'm drawing my shoulder blades down the back. You can stay there. Some other variations are to bring the arms by your sides. If you're looking for a little calf and hamstring stretch, you can bring one leg up and support the back of the leg. You can lower the head in this posture. So lots of variations there. Now as we lower back down, I'm going to bend the right knee again, place the foot on my left thigh, open my arms to that cactus position, shift onto my left hip, and let the right knee cross the body. So again, this is knee down twist, left leg long, shifting onto my hip, right foot to left thigh, across the body, coming into a knee down twist. This is a great way to stretch out the glutes piriformis. If you find it challenging to come into this posture, you could have a big pillow right here and rest your leg on that pillow. If there's too much sensation at the SI joint, those of you who might have piriformis syndrome, that can sometimes be too much stretch and too much pressure on the nerve there. And then gently return to your back and then extend the right leg long, pulling the left shin in, flexing your feet in dorsiflexion. Stretch and lengthen the right leg away from you. And then curl your body up if you like. Shoulder blades drawing down the back. And then slowly lower yourself down, coming into that knee down twist on this side. So we're going to shift onto the right hip, left foot to right thigh, right hand to my knee as I cross over. I can be in T or cactus arm. Again, coming into a twist that feels safe and comfortable to you. You can always have a block or a pillow under that knee as it comes across to support it at a higher height. We don't want any sensation that is equivalent to pain. Should be stretch sensation. And gently return to your back, adjusting so your feet are approximately a hand distance away from your buttocks. Ideally, when we lift the hips, we've got a nice knee and ankle are in a nice line together. So we want to avoid this position and try to bring the feet and knees in the same line. So we're going to come into what we call a bridge kriya, and you'll be lifting your hips and lifting your arms up overhead, and then lowering your hips and lowering your arms back down. So bridge kriya, inhale, lift and open, exhale, lower back down. Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Now, holding here for just a moment, I want you to notice the next time you lift, if the weight swings from one leg to the other as you lift and lower. And see if you can't even that out. Can you share the load in both left and right legs? So pushing into your feet, can you share that load? Lifting all the way up, arms come overhead. And now as you lower, same thing. Can you stabilize and share the load as you lower back down? One leg is typically stronger than the other, one side typically stronger than the other. So let's see if you can engage both sides equally as you lift and lower. Otherwise, it looks more like a swing going from side to side as you share you lean on one side more than the other. So figure out whether you have a dominant side there and see if you can work with that to engage the less dominant side. And then next time you're down, arms are down by your sides and your hips are down, pause there and just lift the hips. So coming in, pressing equally into both feet, engaging your glutes, lengthening through the hip flexors, opening up your chest. Option one is to stay here. If you're familiar with the pose, you want to bring your hands beneath your back, interlacing your fingers, lifting the chest. And then lifting to your big toes, the balls of your feet, release your hands, one vertebrae at a time, lowering yourself back down, and then pulling the knees into the chest, give yourself a hug. Again, see if you can feel that fascia, connective tissue that surrounds the tailbone area. Feel the connection to glutes and low back, maybe hamstrings. And we'll do one final twist here. We're going to open up cactus arms, and let the knees fall to one side. Breathing to belly, ribs, and chest. And then slowly, using your abdominal strength, bring it back through center and over to the other side. And I've got one more exercise for you to help to relieve some of the stress on your lower back. We need to build strength through the low abdominals. So if you're in this position and you take your right leg to the height of your left knee, bring your fingertips to the pointy bones in front, the as-is bones, and then let them slide just slightly to the midline towards the center line of your body. So coming off of the bone onto the tissue. And then see if you can engage those low abs. So connect the dots between your fingers by squeezing and engaging those low abs. Those are your transversus. And then as you lower down the right leg, you'll feel the transversus engage. And at a certain point, it sort of gives up. See if you can find that range of motion for you where you are engaging those muscles on the way down along with your glutes. Lift up to the height of your opposite knee, lowering down and lifting. So if we can build some strength in the front side of the body, the opposing muscles on the back side of the body will get a little break. So that low back tension that you're feeling might start to be relieved by engaging these muscles. And then lift back up and place that foot on the floor and coming to the other side. Same thing, lower. Feel the engagement, lift. Trying to work the engagement on the way down and lift. Make sure you're breathing. So no hurry here. Slower enables us to be stable, enables us to stay connected to the muscles we're trying to work with. If we go too quickly with this, like so, we're really probably using our low back, which we know is already being overused. And then place that foot on the floor, opening your arms, bring your arms to the cactus position. Give your chest a little stretch here. The pectorals are potentially a little tight from the rounding that takes place over your computer, if that's where you're spending much of your day. So create some space. If you like closing your eyes, you can also open up your knees if that feels comfortable, or straighten your legs. And take a few moments here to just rest, to restore your energy. Now mindfully bring your knees together. Bring your hands across your chest, roll to one side, and push yourself up. Coming back into a seated position and returning to a focus on your breath. Sitting up nice and tall. Deep breath in and back out. Breathing in and breathing out. One more time, breathing in and back out. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have a great day.